Leading Labour mayor calls on to Keir Starmer to review Westminster's warped voting system. I'm going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline that the leading Labour mayor calls on Keir Starmer to review Westminster's warped voting system. Andy Burnham turns up the heat on Keir Starmer over the political reform. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So this is about the calls from those within Labour to push for more proportional representation system because our electoral system that we have at the moment is not in favor. It's not favorable. We have a first past the post system and a system that we have to vote in a certain way to tactically vote for a certain political party in certain areas to get what we want, which is not fair. Rather than being able to just simply cast our vote on a individual or political party that we want to, we have to a lot of people have to tactically vote, which is what we had to do at the general election to oust the Conservatives. And it's an extremely frustrating system because it means that those who are in favour of reform, for example, they don't have as much of a voice as they should, despite the fact that a large chunk of the British population did vote for reform, whether you like it or not. They should have more MPs in the House. Same for the Greens. The Greens had a lot of younger voters. A lot of the younger voters voted for Green. They had a huge chunk of voter share as well. They should have more MPs within the party. But that's not the way the system works. And it's a rigged system as far as I'm concerned, the first past the post system, designed to keep those who are MPs and those who have a good strong vote share to maintain those strong shares, and that needs to change. And one of those voices who have been standing up has been calling for it within Labour has been has been Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester, and who has been quite without a shadow of a doubt, he has been one of those in Labour that is. He is someone that I do generally respect. There are times where he has said one or two things which I disagree with, but a lot of things I do in agreement on the lines of things that he's done. He's done a lot as he's done a lot of good things as a mayor. I think he's been absolutely brilliant in his role, and he's had a difficult time, obviously, trying to get what he wants from a Conservative government. He's hoping to get more things from a Labour government. And obviously time will tell how things will go over that. But I think him and other people within Labour trying to push for this change for proportional representation needs to be pushed more than ever before. Now, the argument from some Labour supporters is that it's not the time for it. This is what's been the argument for some people, that most people within Labour agree for a proportional representation, but they're not ready for it now. There is a fear that some people believe that they will not want to change it because obviously they have a huge majority, and they don't want to change. They don't want to risk that changing as well from the higher ups. But we have to also remember they're not at the conference that just happened, but last year's one, there was obviously the vote. I believe it was last year or the year before. They voted overwhelmingly in favour of proportional representation. There was a vote, party members voted for it. So this is something that that the groups that work within Labour need to continue to apply pressure on the government to ensure a proportional representation at some point. I do agree. I do believe that there won't be any such change happening in this term in Parliament, as much as I want it to. Whether it will happen in a second term is questionable. Like, for example, if Labour, when the next general election comes and it's not in their manifesto, the change for a voting system, there will be a lot of anger within Labour. I think there will be, because some of them have been are consigned to be patient about it, because obviously there are a lot of issues taking place. There's a lot of issues right now. And some will argue that's not the priority. The priority, obviously, is the economy, the cost of living crisis, our national healthcare service, among other things. And I would say that people do think that political reform does need to be done, but is it on the top of the priority for some people? No. But in my opinion, it is a priority. But the problem is that there are fears that the higher ups in Labour and those within government and cabinet will want to sweep it under the carpet while they prioritise other things and try not to make it a discussion. And when you have lots of the mainstream media not wanting to talk about proportional representation because they will not want to change the status quo, shall we say. So they will want to keep quiet about it as well. So it's down to people constantly talking the need for a change for our electoral system, that is for sure. So let's read what it has to say here. So Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has urged Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government to launch a review in the first past the post voting system used for Westminster election. Yeah, a review does not hurt. They can definitely do that. There's no reason why they can't do that. Especially when so many people were denied the right to vote at the last general election as well, because of the new voter ID rules. Speaking at a fringe event at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool, the Mayor of Greater Manchester says, I appreciate they're probably not ready to go out there to commit to a big change, but why not launch a review of the voting system in the House of Commons? And why not consider carefully whether proportional representation has the support of the country to bring it forward? At the same Labour for a New Democracy event on a Sunday night, Professor Rob Ford of the University of Manchester agreed, arguing that ongoing volatility in Britain's politics means Labour may be forced to act on electoral reform in the coming years. And he told delegates the strategic argument is that it is in Labour's interest to embrace the discussion about electoral reform now, because it's better for them to make the running and own this issue that may be bounced into it 5 years down the line, when they may well face a situation where the price of continuing support is electoral reform. The Labour leader so far resisted calls from local party members, trade unions and annual conferences to replace the first past the post with a proportional voting system. Andy Burnham has been one of those most vocal supporters in the party of a shift to proportional representation, but the Manchester Mayor comments will nonetheless add to pressure from the grassroots of the party. Anna Dixon, Labour MP for Shrewsbury, who chairs the event, reveals that she joined all newly formed all-party parliamentary group for fair elections. Recently elected Labour MP for St Austell and Newquay Nurad Lord also plans to join the group, which is co-chaired by Labour's Alex Shelball MP. The new all-party group will campaign in Parliament for proportional representation, as well as measures to eliminate dark money and malicious disinformation in politics. Anna Dixon, the MP, said, some people may wonder why a Labour Party that has just won on the basis of the current first-past-the-post system will want to open the debate again about PR. There are principled and pragmatic reasons why Labour has moved so strongly in favour of PR in recent years. Caroline Osborne from the campaign group Labour for a New Democracy added, this is about restoring trust in our political system. It would be incredibly powerful to be able to say to voters that for the first time everyone will have a vote that really counts. It's also about making sure the legacy of this government is a stable, renewed Britain. If we can win a landslide majority with a third of the vote, so can other parties. Keeping this system in place is a reckless gamble with the country's future. The recent general election has been branded most distorted in Britain's history by groups like Make Votes Matter. Labour won a historic majority of seats despite receiving just a third of the votes cast. And at the same time, 1 in 5 people voted either the Greens or Reform, yet these parties share just 1% of MPs between them, 9 out of 650. Labour's official policy programme recognises that the flaws in the current voting system are contributing to distrust and alienating the alienation that we see in politics. However, the manifesto was silent on the voting system in last April. Byline Times revealed Keir Starmer was against a shift to PR. Keir Starmer appeared to rule out moving to proportional representation for Westminster's voting during the general election campaign, but after being elected, the now MP says the fight for trust for a battle that defies our age. And this June, Professor Sir John Curtis and the National Centre for Social Research found that trust and confidence in politics and elections has fallen to a record low, while proposals to change the voting system command record majority support, running at 54% according to a YouGov poll in July. That's very interesting. On the 10th of September, politicians from across the divide launched a new group in Parliament to push for electoral reform. Around 20 MPs and peers joined to set up an all-parliamentary group, APPG, for fair elections. Labour MP and the new chair, Alex Shelball, said the group was on a mission to restore trust in politics. The APPG, which is backed by campaigners at Fair Vote UK, will push for measures, including replacing the first past the post with a proportional voting system, ending the influence of secretive funding or dark money in politics, and countering disinformation. Campaigners see an opening for political reform, whether through the House of Commons' new modernisation committee on updating parliamentary procedures, or the upcoming legislation scrapping the hierarchy peers in the House of Lords. The new all-party group warns that in recent years of scandals as well as concerns over foreign influence in UK politics have exposed crucial vulnerabilities in British elections. The APP's Vice Chair Green MP Ellie Charles said after launch, the point of elections is for everyone to have a real say who represents them in what direction the country should go in. But thanks to first past the post, only 4 in 10 votes got the local MP they choose for this year, and only 1 in 3 got the party they voted for in government. The APP for Fair Elections, which will hold a public launch event in Parliament in the coming months, and backers said it will play an active role in bringing together campaigns both inside and outside Parliament. And this was written by Joshua Monwar of Barline Times there. Very interesting piece there from Barline there. That is very interesting indeed. So there is obviously some optimism that there is going to be push of a group of new all parliament group within that, which is also a good sign. And yes, of course, I haven't forgotten about the new modernisation committee. Obviously, there will be discussions around that, about proportional representation. I will also point out as well that Daily Blase, a friend of ours, another YouTuber, he tends to cover parliamentary committees and committees. I'm no doubt he will obviously be keeping a keen eye on that. So do check out his YouTube channel when those committees get going as well. That will certainly be one interesting to say the least. But yeah, it's about building the support from within the party and continuing to grow in it. Yes, I do agree that, especially when public have lost a great deal of distrust in politics, especially over the last few years, I think even more. Yes, it was compounded by what happened with COVID. I also think that what happened with Brexit and the distrust that businesses had with government was definitely broken by Brexit and what's been happening ever since then. Businesses have definitely lost trust a lot in politics as well. But also what happened around COVID, the pandemic, the Conservatives have seriously damaged and harmed the trust there. But there are obviously some of the stories that are being amplified by the media on Labour that are also not helping the situation. It is trying to restore that trust. It is going to take time if they want to restore that trust, Labour, if they are. But I definitely do feel that by changing the electoral system will definitely come a long way to restoring that trust. But whether they will or not is obviously up for debate. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of the first past the post system? What do you guys make of the political reform, the committee that they have set up within Labour? Let me know your thoughts about all this and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.